Morning. It's March. Yeah, March. It's June 4th. It's about 7 a.m. And today I want to talk about Mac Jones. There was a lot of buzz going into the draft about Mac Jones and him being one of the first quarterbacks taken beside Trevor Lawrence, even over Justin Fields, which was a joke to me. I just thought pure athletic talent, just at a glance, you could see that Justin Fields was head and shoulders above Mac Jones. Just the team that Mac Jones played for, particularly Alabama, they had a lot of talent and stars that surrounded it. Same thing with Justin Fields. He had a lot of talent on his team as well, but nobody has the talent level, especially on the offensive line and defensive line, that Alabama has. So there was a lot of buzz that he was going to be the second quarterback taken, and I just couldn't believe it. But draft time is lying time. Like anybody who's been watching it for a long time, like myself, you kind of take everything with a grain of salt because the GMs are trying to, give misdirection as much as they possibly can. But all these scouts went to Mac Jones' pro day, especially the 49ers, and they raved about him, about how great he was, and he was the most pro-ready quarterback. And I'm just listening to all this, and I thought that he was a good quarterback, but he played around a huge amount of talent. So he was drafted with the 15th pick, and he was drafted by I believe Josh McDaniels had a lot to do with him being drafted, because he's considered an offensive guru and all these things. Well, he was the same guy that drafted Tim Tebow, and I believe that Tim Tebow should have been a third-round draft pick. And I believe that the NFL wanted to help him save face by drafting him in the first round. And he shouldn't have been drafted in the first round. And we're just talking about Tebow. But back to Mac Jones. He had an impressive, 1-year run, maybe in 2 years, but I believe it was 1-year run at Alabama. He threw 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, which is a great number, a tremendous number. But going to the measurables when you get to the NFL, all those numbers that you put up in college really don't mean anything, and it's more about your actual talent and what you can actually do, especially off script. So they say he's the most pro-ready. He can make all the throws, and he can drop back. He could take a snap from under center, because a lot of the quarterbacks now, they spend most of their time in the shotgun, which kind of hinders you for the NFL, because a lot of the snaps in the NFL are dropbacks and play action fakes, and you have to actually turn your back to the defense and turn back around and make a play. So Mac Jones is 6'2", 217 pounds, which is not a great size for a quarterback. It can work, but he doesn't have tremendous size or frame. And that was it. That was evident when I took a look at him at his pro day. And I know this may seem strange, but the moment I looked at him, I noticed that he had a belly. And I've been to a couple of pro days in my life. And one thing I know is that all the guys who are going to get drafted, they tend to be in the best shape of their life. No fat, nothing excess. These guys are running at optimum conditions. So I saw that, and I was immediately taken aback, like, wow, this guy's got a belly. How did that happen? It's your pro day, and you should be ready. You should be training like a demon, trying to get ready for that, because it's as much as how you look as how you perform. And so I knew that he didn't have a lot of the physical tools, but I wasn't exactly sure, what he had or didn't have, because you need to look at the numbers after the pro day, And so he ran a 4.740 pedestrian. His vertical jump was 32 inches. It doesn't really show explosion, but that's not necessarily what you need to play the quarterback position, but it helps. especially in this day and age with the fast defensive ends and the linebackers that are running 4.5 at the very least. And there's some guys that are running 4.4. Defensive ends the same. Not 4.4, the defensive ends, but they're running. And running 4.7, that's a defensive tackles number. I've seen some defensive tackles that run 4.7. His broad jump was 9.8. Another example of lack of explosion. And his 3-cone drill was 7.0, which means that his short area quickness is not elite. So with all the measurables, I believe that this guy is at the very best a second-round quarterback or a third-round quarterback. Talent alone, irregardless of where he played. And then in the pro day, he was overthrowing his receivers. Now, I'm sure everybody's seen the pro day, and if you haven't, there's no reason for you to overthrow your receivers during a pro day. Everybody knows what routes you're going to run. There's no defense, and it's just basically you're playing against air. And so for him not to be prepared and not to be able to make those throws is a big indicator of what's going to happen when he's got a 240-pound linebacker bearing down on him, about to hit him in his body really, really hard, and can he make those throws? And if he can't make the throws against air, how do you expect him to make the throws against great defensive backs? So the Patriots have had a history, or a bad history, of drafting quarterbacks. I believe they got really lucky with Tom Brady. If you remember, he was a 6th or 7th round draft pick, and no one expected him to be able to become what he's become. And the way that he achieved that was because they ran the ball in the first couple of years of his career, and he was a game manager. And then he worked his way into the quarterback that you see now. So I don't believe that Mac Jones is going to be a star. I believe that he's actually a 2nd or 3rd round talent. And I believe that Josh McDaniels maybe believes a little bit more in his ability than anybody else. And only time will tell. But I don't have a good grade on Mac Jones, and I never did. He came from a great school. He put up big numbers. But if you look at the talent and you look at how the defenses played him, they played a lot of zone, and the receivers will be able to get free releases. When he gets to the NFL and they start to play against better teams, they're going to be playing man-to-man coverage, and the holes are going to be smaller, and the receivers are going to have less room to work. So we'll see if Mac Jones can anticipate and put the ball where it's supposed to go and take the hits, because he's going to be sitting in the pocket. So that's my take on Mac Jones, and you guys have a great day. Thank you.